Hey, what's up, Fruit Flower Squad? Today I'll be doing a Draw My Life video. I thought it would be a nice way to get to know me a little better. My name is Melissa May Cameron. I was born August 3rd, 1986 on Long Island, New York. My family consisted of my two parents, Stu and Maria, and my two siblings, Krista and Sean. Krista is 2 years older and Sean's 2 years younger, so yay, I'm the middle child. When I was just a wee baby, my mom said I slept all the time. By default, I adopted the nickname Mim when I was just a baby. My sister couldn't pronounce my full name Melissa, so she called me Mim, a nickname that stuck throughout my life thus far. It wasn't until many years later that a friend started calling me May, and I liked it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Growing up, I was very close with my grandparents, Ida and Felice. They lived next to the beach, which we called Grandma's Beach. We thought it was hers, like she owned it. We would go to their house every Sunday, which would always involve a big Italian feast with all kinds of ridiculous sounding foods like gallimudigada, spadinis, and fagats. When I was 7, I asked my parents for a guitar. They said that when I could fit my hand around the neck, they would get me one. And a few months later, my hands were big enough and I got my first guitar. I remember it was a red Washburn. I didn't take playing seriously until I got much older, but I liked to write my own songs and just play around. Eventually I would teach myself how to play. I quickly fell in love with music, and a year later my grandpa, who was an incredible musician, taught me how to play trumpet. Apparently he didn't want me to play at first, something about girls and brass instruments. However, as soon as I blew my first notes, he said, no, she's gonna be a trumpet player. I was definitely a tomboy growing up. I had short hair, I liked to play with action figures like Batman and Ninja Turtles. Ghostbusters was my favorite. I also loved to play sports and would have to play on the boys' team to prove I was just as good. I didn't want to play softball, I wanted to play baseball. I actually played on a boys' travel baseball and soccer team, and when it came time for the All-Stars game, my entire team would pick me out of just 2 players. Growing up, I was very close with my mom and my siblings. We always laughed a lot together. I remember the 4 of us hanging out in the kitchen, just joking around until my dad would come home, and then we would all scatter like mice. We stuck together because we all kind of feared my dad. My mom was our savior and a wonderful mother. I always knew how much she loved me and my siblings, and always felt incredibly lucky to have her. I never really understood my dad and what his problem was. Most of the time, he gave us the silent treatment, and we just tried to stay out of his way. However, whenever Christmas came along, he was Mr. Jolly Frickin' Santa Claus. My mom always said that showering us with gifts was his way of showing he loved us. Too bad we didn't get the memo. My parents didn't argue much, but it was clear they weren't in love and stayed together for financial reasons. Long story short, when I was 17, my boyfriend at the time caught my dad cheating on my mom. They divorced, and I haven't seen my dad since. When I was 14, my sister started a band. I thought it was super rad, and a little while later, she let me join. Soon after, we started another band called This Year's Addiction. Eventually, we became extremely passionate about it and played throughout high school. My high school years pretty much consisted of me training for my Juilliard audition and band practice outside of school. I always wanted to play in a big orchestra or a pit band on Broadway, and Juilliard was my dream. But I didn't think I could handle the rejection and never even applied, even with all the hard work I put in. I ended up going to a small music school close to home so that I could continue on with my band, and eventually my sister and I both dropped out of college to pursue our band full time. Another long story short, we did a small tour with a band from Louisiana. My sister and the guitarist of that band fell in love, and a few months later my sister moved down to Louisiana to be with him, which made me very sad because our band broke up and my sister was gone. However, a few months later, my sister and her boyfriend Steven started another band called I Wrestled a Bear Once, which received recognition right away and signed to a label called Century Media. A few months short of my 22nd birthday, I moved to Louisiana and joined the band as well. We had the best times touring and playing music. After 6 months of being on the road while sitting on Venice Beach, California, recording our first full length, I decided I wanted to go home to New York and go back to music school. All the meanwhile, shortly after my 19th birthday, I kissed a girl for the first time and fell head over heels in love and realized I was gay. But she broke my heart like bad, and I continued to let her toy with me for the next several years after that until I started to play around with a little idea called self-love. The second time around, music school still wasn't all I'd hoped it'd be. I met We dated for a year or so, and then she left me for my best friend. Ouch. At the time, it really hurt, but ended up being one of the best things to ever happen to me. A few weeks later, I met Kate Flowers. I won't ever forget seeing her for the first time and knowing right then I found my other half. Blissfully in love, we spent that summer and decided that winter we were to move out of New York and start our lives together on the sunny beaches of Florida. Which leads me to my current life. 5 years growing and immersed in love. In the last year alone, we started a YouTube channel, started a business together, which we've always talked about doing since we met, and I finally reconnected with my music again. We also went sober and raw together. I even quit drinking coffee, which I never thought possible, proving that when you put your heart and soul into something, anything is possible. So this is my life in a nutshell, a really tiny nutshell. I know this is only the beginning, and out of everything I've learned throughout my short time on this planet, it's to never give up on yourself and your dreams. So dream really big and work really hard for it. Don't listen to those who say you can't, because you can. Believe in yourself. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Love you all.